It started off like any other morning at Bossard Farben, a family-owned paint manufacturing company founded in 1947. Then, the IT department walked in. By the time management checked the plant, the entire production floor had come grinding to a sudden halt. There were no machines running. Instead, a digital note sat on their computer screens, demanding $250,000 in Bitcoin, alongside a digital countdown clock ticking down from 12 days. In an instant, 200 jobs were on the line. To understand who is on the other side of that screen, you have to look past the image of a lone hacker in a basement. Modern ransomware functions as a highly structured enterprise, utilizing human resources and bi-weekly payrolls to manage their industrialized crime syndicate. At a global scale, they pull in estimated losses exceeding $1 billion every year, rivaling multinational corporations. That presents a chilling reality for the modern economy. If your infrastructure is connected, even a legacy manufacturer can be brought to its knees by an invisible, industrialized enemy. Breaking into a secure network rarely involves writing complex code. Attackers rely heavily on two simple pathways: social engineering, where they trick an employee into clicking a malicious link, or by aggressively scanning a company's outward-facing servers to find a single, unpatched vulnerability. When forensic teams retraced the attack on Bossard Farben to find patient zero, they didn't find a sophisticated backdoor. The hackers had slipped in through a remote access solution attached to a computer screen on a forklift, sitting in the high bay warehouse behind a very weak password. Getting through that first door is only the beginning. Inside, attackers must escalate privileges. They systematically hunt for administrative credentials, moving from the isolated forklift up to the core servers that manage the entire network. A robust, multi-million-dollar outward-facing security architecture offers zero defense if a single, seemingly insignificant internal device is left unprotected. Dispersing the lockdown software used to be the final step of an attack. Now, syndicates rely on a brutal, evolved strategy: double extortion. This modern timeline illustrates the attack. Before locking you out, hackers spend days quietly stealing your sensitive information, siphoning it to their servers. Only then do they trigger the next phase, encrypting the architecture and locking the company out. To understand how these syndicates wield that leverage, cybersecurity researcher John DiMaggio went undercover on the dark web. Posing as an upcoming hacker, he spent 3 years building a relationship with the leadership of Lockbit, the world's most prolific ransomware variant. Eventually, international law enforcement unmasked the persona behind the screen. The man calling himself Lockbit Sup was identified as Russian national Dmitry Koroshev. DiMaggio's relationship with the group ended when Lockbit attacked a children's cancer hospital in Chicago. The systems providing critical treatment to patients were locked down, and the group flatly refused to hand over the decryption key. Their psychological warfare extends far beyond the keyboard. When negotiations stall, they have been known to call a victim's personal home phone, reminding them how much they know about their private lives. This leaves victims in an agonizing position. They are forced to stare at a countdown clock, weighing the survival of hundreds of jobs and decades of history against funding a criminal empire. To avoid paying that extortion fee, IT departments have to launch a desperate forensic fightback. Teams burn the midnight oil, checking each server individually to ensure the attackers are fully eliminated, while searching through their archives for a hidden backup that hasn't been corrupted. Bossard Farben managed to find a clean, 7-day-old backup. To save the company, their staff initiated 14-hour workdays, checking for vulnerabilities and essentially rebuilding their entire system from scratch. This data visualization illustrates what happens when companies lack a secure backup. When Lockbit's internal database was hacked and leaked online, it revealed a long list of victims who quietly surrendered. One notable entry was a single Swiss company that handed over nearly $2 million to get their data back. Every single time a demand is met, it guarantees the survival of the attacker's business model. Those payments act as direct venture capital, funding the syndicate's next wave of global cybercrime. Cybersecurity experts and negotiators agree on an absolute macro-level solution to break this cycle. The world has to universally refuse to pay the ransoms. Enforcing a ban on payments would create severe short-term fallout. Operations would temporarily collapse, and companies would face enormous disruptions. To survive that period, governments would need to step in with massive mitigation measures to support the victims. Even highly secure giants like Microsoft have been compromised. Cyberattacks are an inevitable reality of the digital age, and there is no shame in becoming a target. Because an attack is almost inevitable, corporate survival relies entirely on preparation. It requires maintaining strict offline backups, securing internal devices, and ultimately having the moral resilience to starve the cybercrime economy.